Litsa.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing all right. Just trying to get through this holiday season of ours.
Sure.
You know what? It's full of ups and downs, I think. And I feel like
Oh,
that is the standard and normal. And I really like one thing I've been thinking a lot about is just like how I wish that was normalized. That the holiday
yes.
season is meant to be a mix of both. Like it's about all sorts of things. I feel like we kind of focus all on like the merry, the bright, the joy, the cheer, and like that's all great. But I think a lot of that stuff, many times comes from having an appreciation for things like resilience and having had struggles and being grateful for what you have. And so there's like a whole other side to it that I think we gloss over, and it makes people feel bad for having any sort of like sadness or struggle or stress at the holidays. And I just really wish that weren't the norm. And maybe that's just me. Maybe that's like just what I've internalized, but that's kind of how I've been feeling about it because I have had kind of an up and down season thus far. And I have had moments where I'm like, oh, I feel guilty. I'm not like making the most of every day during this season. I have kids and they want it to all be very like rosy and happy. And I've been feeling guilty about it. And I'm like, but that's normal.
No, it's completely normal. It's completely normal. And I think that when it isn't normalized, that it's a mix of both, it also creates the other end of the extreme. Because I've been thinking a lot, and this is probably from grief Instagram, about how there's also a lot of effort in the grief space to normalize having a really terrible holiday because it can be really awful after loss. And then, though, you have people who are feeling guilt for it not being exclusively horrible, like having these bright spots in the holiday. And it's like, well, no, it's always, the holidays are always this mix of both in varying degrees. And even in the most miserable of times, we're often able to find like some bright spot and I think being able to find that without guilt is such an important part of grief. And then also normalizing just holidays, even in the good times in life, still have this incredible complications of everything from past loss and past nostalgia and pressure one puts on themselves and financial strains and all the many other things that happen. It's just wild that the media, like we've created this false narrative about this time of year.
And it's like, I mean, it's well intentioned, right? Like it's there. People are trying to be very positive and nostalgic, and I love that about the holidays. But I do, like you said, like I wish there was more normalization of the fact that it's supposed to be just all of it. And I think sometimes feeling like, oh, it's going to be all terrible. It's like we have created a dynamic where we feel like it has to be one or the other. It has to be either great or terrible. And it's like, no, especially if you've experienced the death of someone you love, from here on out, your holidays will always be a mix. They will always have moments of sadness because you wish they were here and you have all these memories and you want to go back in time. But at the same time, maybe there's stuff in the present you appreciate and love. Once you've experienced a loss like that, there will never be a holiday that's not a mix. So it's like more normal than not that is how it's going to be. The last time I can remember things being all one way, I was a kid who didn't have any responsibilities, didn't have any real true hardship, as a child. And that's the last time I can remember things being all one way, but that's not realistic for grownups.
Well, and I think that sometimes that having like the good, I may have even talked about this on the podcast before. I can't remember. Like, I think I did maybe very recently about when Thanksgiving was coming up, of part of the struggle I have, Thanksgiving every year without fail is probably my like lowest moment of the year, always. And it is in part because it is the one holiday and like one time of the year that I have the most wonderful associations with from my childhood. I have such deep nostalgia and stuff, such incredible feelings about my childhood Thanksgivings that now they just stand in such stark contrast to what my Thanksgiving
Mm-hmm.
usually now looks like. Like I look around and I'm like, oh my gosh, my family, like the older you get, it's something that obviously we have talked about. Like you lose more and more people. I don't know. It's like nobody really fully prepares you for that moment that you get to, I think, at some point in adulthood where you're like, oh, everyone's dead. Like just generations of like I look back and I think about like all the people that were there and I'm like, oh my God, they're just all dead. And it's a really, I think, like I'm getting teary. It is just, I think, really emotional to have that. And so it's, again, with that bittersweet thing, it's like sometimes the memories that are the best then create the grief that's the most intense because it stands in such stark relief. So yeah, I think like my Thanksgiving, I just like, I always like carry that together. And so even when I have a really nice Thanksgiving, it's still always not that, like not what it was. And I think it's hard for our brains to just not be in that, that comparison place. Like we have to hold it all and be able to say, like, I appreciate this for what it is. And I like love the moments I'm able to still be here in this world and have now. And also like, God, it is tragic and depressing to think about how much we lose over the course of our lives.
Yeah, I feel that really, really deeply. Thinking about the holidays I have now, they're wonderful because I have like my kids and everything, but that's a whole new family, essentially. Like, and the family that I used to spend the holidays with, I can't really spend the holidays. I may be able to see some of them, but like that life is gone. And that is so strange to me. I never would have known when I was younger that we essentially live in a way these different lifetimes in a sense. Like your life changes so drastically. Maybe not everybody feels this way, but I certainly do. My mom died and we used to spend, holidays with grandparents, with her family, and that's no more. I might see those people. I might receive a card from some of those people, the people who are still in our lives and still alive, but like many of them are gone. And it's so tough. And I think that's one of the reasons holiday tradition feels so important to people, is because the threads that bind us together, we lose so many of them. And you reach a point where you're like, there are so few threads holding me and tethering me to where I began, or to the past, or to people, or to the life I had before. And like many people feel, I don't want to lose those things. I want to hold on to those things. I want to be tethered in some way to the past. And so I think that's one of the reasons why carrying traditions forward, especially at the holidays, feels so important, and why making my mother's Christmas cookies, which I'm going to do this week, feels like something I want to do till I no longer can, because I need those things things that feel like tangible connections.
Yeah. That sort of like ground us to the fact that like that was real. That past was like real and it was there, and it can feel, I think, very distant sometimes when you look around and feel like, oh wow, my life has changed so much.
Yeah. And, we always advocate for traditions and keeping our loved ones present and all that. But like, let's be honest, none of that really changes the fact that I would like give anything to be able to go back, for a day. I don't know. I just think like, yeah, it's tough. It goes back to like you said, you've already said the thing about Thanksgiving. And I bet you in response, I said the things that we value the most. The things that we care about the most, that we love the most, that bring us the most joy and fulfillment and meaning and purpose. Those are the things that also can cause us the most pain, because we care so much about them. And that's the thing, is like, if we're going to care deeply in one way, in a way that feels loving and positive and nurturing and fulfilling, we're also going to care very deeply in a way that feels very painful when we are not able to connect with those things.
And I think, well, and to at risk of falling into the old grief is love trope, which is a little overdone, I think, sometimes. But I do think that there is this time of year from other people. One of the things that can happen that feels really minimizing is people being like, focus on what you're grateful for, focus on the people, all the good things, and that emphasis, which can be really important. Mindset is huge. Like, it is so incredibly important to be able to make space for that. But I think what people miss sometimes is part of gratitude, part of experiencing true gratitude and appreciation for our lives isn't just about appreciation for our life in the present. It's about gratitude and appreciation for life in the past, which then also means making space for all of the pain that goes with that. And that it's okay to be able to recognize that when you have that gratitude, it doesn't undo the pain that goes with it. Like when I think back of those memories, I feel incredibly grateful for them, but my gratitude doesn't make me any less sad that that time and those people and that place is gone. And so it is. It's like we've got to hold all of that together. We can't fully have gratitude, even gratitude in the present. I think when you have gone through loss, it is so hard to not even carry gratitude in the present with an acute awareness of the potential for loss and of time passing and of all of the things in a way that even gratitude in the present, you can try to be as mindful as you want and in the present moment. And also, loss makes us, as Heidegger would say, beings towards death. Like, we're thinking about it all the time.
1000%. Absolutely. Yeah. Like I do that all the time. I'll have a great moment, or I'll have a moment of appreciation, and then I'll be struck with the thought but this isn't forever, but eventually we will be separated, things like that. They don't tell you when they talk about the joy and the gratitude and all that. It's not like a place you get to and it's finite and that's all you feel and you stay there. It's a moment. It's a moment that hopefully you can stay present with long enough to appreciate it. But it is a moment. And there are other moments after that may feel a different way. And I think the best thing that we can do, and the thing I try to do, like I kind of just said, is to try and stay in the moment of appreciation and stay in the moment of feeling love or connection or warmth, as opposed to letting my mind go to those other places right away.
Yeah. And I think there's that mindfulness of how can we try to be in the now and in the present moment and just appreciate that for what it is. And also recognize that our awareness of life being finite and of just how fleeting things can be also can cause us to have deeper appreciation for things and to understand, that it can all change on a dime. And, and I think that sometimes there is beating ourselves up about, oh, wait, I'm out of the moment, or I'm, why am I having this negative, pessimistic thought? But again, in the duality of everything and holding that dialectic, we can hold those together. And I think sometimes it can allow us to feel even more of a gratitude or awareness.
Totally. I said just now, I would give anything to go back. But when I said that, I was thinking, and I know deep down, at the moment that I was in it, I didn't have that appreciation for it because I didn't realize how fleeting it was. I didn't know my mom was going to die when I was young still. So I didn't have that gratitude. I didn't have that appreciation. It's only now looking back that I have that appreciation because I do know. And so you're right. It's in order to appreciate the light, a lot of times you do need the darkness, or at least an awareness of it. So yeah, I do think it's so interesting how dynamic and complex everything in life is, and how quick we are to assume it's not going to be, or that it shouldn't be, basically.
Yeah. There you go. I think that sums it up.